Have you ever witnessed a moment where money failed to buy what truly matters? Let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? This story proves that honor and discipline can't be bought, no matter the price. If you found this moment as powerful as we did, hit that like button and share your thoughts below. And don't forget, tomorrow at this same time, we're dropping another jaw-dropping Royal Guard story you won't want to miss. Subscribe now and turn on the bell so you never miss an epic tale of courage and integrity. He threw $50,000 at a Royal Guard, but what happened next shocked everyone. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows over Buckingham Palace as a sleek black Cadillac Escalade rolled to a stop along the curb. The doors barely had a chance to settle before Preston Cole, a towering figure in a tailored Armani suit, stepped out with the kind of arrogance only a billionaire could carry. His polished Italian shoes crunched against the stone pavement as he adjusted his gold Rolex, the gleam catching the eyes of passing tourists. His voice, sharp and confident, carried across the palace grounds as he barked into his diamond-studded phone. "Listen, Jenkins, when I say everyone has a price, I mean everyone," he sneered, weaving through a crowd of tourists without so much as an apology. "That environmental group? Double the offer. Hell, triple it. People love to act like principles matter until they see enough zeros." The crowd, once buzzing with conversation, had quieted. Parents instinctively pulled their children closer, sensing something about this man was different. Not in the way great leaders command a room, but in the way predators size up their prey. Preston barely noticed the stares, too caught up in his own importance. His assistant, a thin, nervous man clutching a leather portfolio, struggled to keep up, offering hurried apologies to those his boss had rudely shouldered aside. Then, Preston saw him, standing motionless near the palace gates. A royal guard, clad in the signature red tunic and tall bearskin hat, stood with unshakable discipline, his rifle perfectly positioned, eyes fixed forward as if carved from stone. Preston stopped, an amused smirk curling across his lips. "Well, well," he muttered to himself, his earlier frustration fading into something else, a challenge. The sight of someone so unmoved, so detached from the world Preston controlled, it irritated him. This wasn't just a man in uniform. It was a symbol of everything Preston despised: duty, loyalty, honor. His assistant hesitated, sensing his boss's shifting mood. Sir? We should." Preston raised a hand, silencing him. "Hold my calls," he said, slipping the phone into his pocket. His steel blue eyes remained locked on the guard. A slow, predatory smile spread across his face. "Let's see," he whispered, reaching into his jacket for the first crisp $100 bill. Just how much that discipline is really worth. Preston Cole twirled the crisp $100 bill between his fingers, his smirk widening as he stepped closer to the unmoving royal guard. The air around them thickened, as if the very walls of Buckingham Palace were watching, waiting. He flicked the bill toward the guard's pristine red tunic, the paper fluttering in the breeze before landing softly at the soldier's polished boots. "Come on," Preston chuckled, glancing around at the growing crowd. "It's easy money. A little step, a nod, hell, just blink, and this is yours." Silence. The royal guard remained motionless, his stare fixed forward, his body a pillar of unshakable discipline. Preston's amusement flickered into mild irritation. He pulled out another bill, then another, peeling them off the stack with sharp flicks of his wrist. The tourists around them shifted uncomfortably, some pulling out their phones, others exchanging uneasy glances. Preston chuckled, louder this time. "All right, let's up the stakes." He reached into his tailored Armani jacket, withdrawing a thick bundle of $100 bills, fanning them out like a deck of cards. $1,000, he announced, his voice dripping with mock generosity. "That's a month's rent for some people, or what, a week's salary for you. Just one tiny reaction, and it's yours." Nothing. Preston's jaw tensed. He had spent his entire life buying what he wanted: land, businesses, politicians. The idea that a single man in a uniform could resist his money was almost offensive. His assistant, still lingering nearby, swallowed hard. Sir?" Preston waved him off and stepped even closer, his breath now inches from the soldier's face. $5,000, he whispered, his voice low, taunting. "That's more than most of these people make in a month." He turned to the crowd, spreading his arms. Let's make this interesting. What do you all think? Should our soldier here take the money? The crowd stayed silent, but the tension was suffocating. Two elderly men, their Royal Marine veteran caps catching the light, had been watching from the sidelines. They exchanged a knowing look, sensing that something much bigger than money was about to unfold. Preston, emboldened by his own performance, pulled out even more cash, tossing bills onto the ground. "This is what loyalty is worth," he sneered. "Nothing but paper on the pavement." Still, the guard did not move. Preston's smirk faltered. Something in the air had changed. Preston's smirk twisted into something colder. The weight of the silence was unbearable. The only sounds were the soft flutter of $100 bills drifting against the stone pavement and the hushed whispers of the crowd. His confidence flickered, just for a second, but he masked it with a forced chuckle. "All right," he said, voice tight. "Maybe we're thinking too small." He pulled out another thick stack of cash, gripping it with a touch more force than before. $10,000, he declared, his voice rising above the murmurs. He stepped even closer, the scent of his expensive cologne mixing with the cool London air. "You could take a nice vacation with this. Maybe upgrade to something better than," he waved vaguely at the guard's immaculate red tunic. "This costume. Nothing. Not even a flicker of acknowledgement." Preston's fingers twitched. This was different. He could feel it now. This wasn't just stubbornness or loyalty. This was something untouchable, something that his money would never reach. His grip on the bills tightened. He wasn't losing. "Fine," he growled, pulling another stack from his jacket, this time waving the full amount directly in front of the guard's face. $50,000. That's a brand new Tesla. That's more than most people in this crowd will make this year. The tourists stiffened. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others held up their phones, capturing the moment that was now spiraling into something much bigger than a rich man's arrogance. Among them, the two elderly veterans watched closely. One of them, a man with deep-set wrinkles and a chest full of campaign medals, narrowed his eyes. He had seen this kind of man before. The kind who thought money could erase history, loyalty, and sacrifice. But the guard, standing like a living monument, did not move. Preston's jaw clenched. His pulse hammered against his temples. Then his frustration snapped into something uglier. He took the entire wad of cash, more than $100,000 in crisp bills, and flung it into the air. The money scattered like autumn leaves, swirling around the guard, falling over his shoulders, settling at his feet. A gasp rippled through the crowd, and still the guard did not move. Preston took a step back, his breathing shallow, the weight of his own powerlessness sinking in. That's when the guard moved. The moment stretched, thick with tension, the air electric as a storm about to break. The money settled around the guard's boots, but it may as well have been dust for all the attention he gave it. Then, in a single, precise motion, the royal guard moved. His white-gloved hand shot out, fingers wrapping around Preston's wrist with unshakable force. It wasn't violent. It wasn't aggressive. But it was absolute. The crowd gasped in unison. A mother pulled her child closer. A man whispered, "Oh, he messed up now." Preston froze, every muscle in his body suddenly aware of just how real this moment had become. The grip was like iron, controlled but unyielding, and when Preston's steel blue eyes flickered up to the guard's face, he saw something that sent an unfamiliar chill down his spine. Authority. Not the kind money could buy. Not the kind that bent for billionaires. Real authority. Earned, not given. The silence cracked as the guard finally spoke. "Sir, that will be quite enough." His voice was calm, even, but it cut through the air like a blade. Preston swallowed, his pulse hammering. He'd stood in boardrooms, outmaneuvered CEOs, broken entire companies apart. But this was something else entirely. The veterans in the crowd nodded slightly, a shared understanding passing between them. One of them, his medals gleaming in the fading light, muttered to his companion, "Saw that coming." But Preston wasn't done. His lips curled, his usual arrogance trying to claw its way back. "You think this means something?" he sneered, trying to shake free. The grip did not loosen. "You think standing here, playing soldier, makes you better than me? This?" He gestured at the scattered money, at the unwavering stance of the guard. This is why you'll always be a prop in someone else's picture. The guard did not flinch, did not waver. Instead, his gaze locked onto Preston's with a steady intensity. "You misunderstand, sir," he said, voice still composed. "This isn't about money. This is about what money will never be able to buy." Preston stopped struggling. Because, for the first time in his life, he realized he had already lost. Preston stood frozen, his wrists still caught in the iron grip of the royal guard. The weight of the moment pressed down on him like a tidal wave. The crowd held its breath, eyes darting between the scattered money, the billionaire, and the unshakable figure in red and black. Then, with precise control, the guard released Preston's wrist, stepping back into his perfect, motionless stance. It was as if nothing had happened, as if this man had not just brought a billionaire to his knees without ever drawing a weapon. Preston stumbled back, rubbing his wrist, his face burning with humiliation. He expected laughter, but none came. There was no mockery, no jeers, just a heavy silence filled with something even worse. Disdain, disappointment, disbelief. It was in the eyes of the tourists, in the quiet smirks of the two veterans, in the way people looked at him now, not with envy, but with pity, his power, his money, his arrogance reduced to nothing in seconds. For the first time, Preston Cole, the man who could buy anything, stood in front of something truly untouchable. He clenched his jaw, shoving his Rolex-covered wrist into his pocket, his breath sharp, uneven. "You all act like this means something," he hissed under his breath, voice low, dangerous. "Like this little charade is worth more than real power." No response. Preston's chest tightened, fury bubbling beneath his skin. His entire life, he had bent the world to his will. With enough money, enough pressure, he had turned kings into pawns. And yet, this man, this soldier, stood unbreakable. His hands curled into fists before he forced himself to turn, striding toward his black Cadillac Escalade. His assistant, still clutching his leather portfolio like a lifeline, scrambled behind him. As Preston yanked open the car door, the veteran with the chest full of medals finally spoke, his voice calm but sharp as steel. "That uniform was earned. Your money never will be." Preston stiffened. He wanted to fire back, to cut down this old man with words sharper than any blade. But the truth of it hit harder than any insult ever could. Without another word, he slammed the door shut. The Escalade's engine roared to life, the tires screeching against the stone pavement as he sped away, his reflection warping in the palace gates. But behind him, the royal guard remained, untouched, unmoved, unshaken. And as the wind picked up, the scattered $100 bills whispered across the ground, worthless in the shadow of a man whose loyalty, discipline, and dignity had no price tag. What would you have done if you were standing in that crowd, watching a billionaire try to buy his way through centuries of honor and tradition? Have you ever witnessed a moment where someone thought money could solve everything, only to be humbled by something far more powerful? Integrity? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Were you cheering for the guard, shocked by Preston's arrogance? Or maybe you've experienced a moment in your own life where values were tested in the face of pressure. Share your story in the comments below. We read every single one. And while you're here, let us know where in the world you're watching from. It's amazing to see how far these stories travel and how they resonate with people across cultures. If this story gave you chills, if it reminded you that some things are truly priceless, hit that like button and join our growing community of people who still believe in dignity, discipline, and unshakable courage. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss the next unforgettable Royal Guard encounter. We've got another incredible story coming your way tomorrow. Same time, same place.